Why are you buying? You're buying more Palantir and you're buying more nvidia. Okay, let's start with Palantir. Why buy more?
Absolutely. We have a saying in this office, you buy the best, ignore the rest. And Palantir is clearly in that group, Stuart. I think all the efficiency cuts that everybody's going on about is exactly what this company does. Huge market share, growing deals, efficiency all the way across the board, going to be very, very profitable.
It's on a big dip at the moment. I saw it at $120 a share last week. Now it's 95.
Well, again, we've talked about 300, 345% over the last 12 months. I'm not that concerned about 7, 8, 10% here. My horizon is 5, 10 years. I think the stock goes to 200 and then substantially higher as the rest of the world continues to move into AI and efficiency.
Okay, just a couple of minutes ago, Keith Fitz was on the show recommending Palantir.
Yep.
He says he loves it still to this day. But it's down another 4.7% this morning. Is this because of the defense budget and possible cuts in defense?
Yes, so we talked about this on Thursday, I believe, right? The 8% cuts and the 8% budget cuts in the next few years each coming from the DoD. How does that impact Palantir? I think it was Thursday when we sat here and a lot of people said if you want exposure to AI, nvidia on a ratio basis, on a multiple basis, is cheaper than Palantir. So again, Palantir, look, they do defense and they do AI. So some people say this actually helps because it makes us more productive and it's efficient when you're examining your contracts. A lot of people saying for a multiple, for how expensive this company is, it's something that you need to consider when you're looking at budget cuts.
Can't help but bring me back a week.
Where you go?
I mean,
Starbucks?
I love you, but Palantir, I mean, a week ago you were like, yeah, baby. Not a good week there, Jimbo.
I'm reading the book. I'm reading the Palantir book. It reads like, it reads like it's kind of a manifesto of manifestos.
Do we have a 1 week on this thing? Yeah, there's a 1 month, which is still
Well, it's not
amazing
a manifesto of going to
for
120.
a year to date. But 1 week was not good.
I studied Goethe.
This is the worst
I studied
week in 2
Goethe in my
years.
junior year. A lot of people thought it was Goethe. I knew better.
You knew better. Well, you
and
know
I can't shoot. I can't shoot like Karp. But right now, he can't shoot straight.
That was a bad week. And it's continuing.
Yeah. Well, we've got to really get a little more intelligent what they do.
Worst 3-day drop since 2022.
Wow.
40% of their revenue last year was government related. 22% was Army alone.
I know. And I think what people are really saying, sotto voce, because they don't want to irritate Karp, international slowing really big. And the problem with that is international starting to do better in macro and GDP. So what's the problem? I think that he didn't get the big DOGE contract to reform the Defense Department. I think he's got he does have a lot of defense work, and we heard the Defense Secretary said they're going to cut things by 8%. That was a big precipitant. And more important, he's had 2 book reviews on our network, and I think he needs a third. I think we invite him here, go over the book, go over.
Want to invite him to our book club?
I think that it's time to talk about Martin Luther.
Always nice to have the author come to the book club, isn't it, Carl? You always enjoy that.
Yes.
Well, look,
he signed the book.
Yeah,
great.
Talk about it.
And momentum unwinds are largely complete. They don't really feel like they're largely complete. By the way, Alex Karp of Palantir is speaking at the New York Economic Club, and we're going to monitor that for any news that might come out of there. Not necessarily a news-making event, but nonetheless, his stock is probably today the most closely watched one in the market. NVIDIA reports on Wednesday, but Palantir had such a tremendous gain, and now it's having such a tremendous unwind. Tom Lee says, 4 reasons we view last week's 5% decline in momentum as just a, quote, flesh wound. Well, NVIDIA reports this week. He cites that, likely a positive event. PCE talks about that, too. Likely affirms inflation tracking lower. That's what you cited.
Yeah.
If DOGE leads to an economic softening, you're going to get an increase in the odds of a May rate cut, Fed put. And then momentum, yes, it's seen a decline, and it has in the past, but each staged a recovery. We do have reporters, as I said, on that case. Seema Modi is watching Palantir today. Its CEO speaking here in New York. Seema, what are we learning from Mr. Karp today? Is that stock down another, as we just said, 10%?
It is, Scott. You know, Palantir CEO Alex Karp really used this opportunity to address the concerns about military budget cuts that have sent shares down about 20% over the past week. Karp says government programs need to be reviewed to instill confidence in business, the country, and that it will ultimately benefit Palantir.
The single best thing that helps my company is meritocracy. Pen test everything. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We have hundreds of contracts. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a contract that doesn't deserve to be renewed. Great. Maybe there's a contract that does deserve to be renewed that gets canceled. Pen test everything.
Those comments come after a leaked memo from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth revealing a proposal to cut the Department of Defense's budget by 8% this year. Palantir in total makes about 50% of its sales from government contracts around the world. Now, when asked about the recent drop in the stock, Karp said, "I'm skeptical that the market actually prices effectively, certainly in the short term." The stock down about 10.7% right now, Scott.
Higher. And quick about Palantir. I mean, he's been telling the same story now for the last 5.5 or 6 years. The story hasn't changed. People are now picked up on it. But at its zenith, a week or so ago, when this was almost a $300 billion company, you were trading 60 times revenues. They're only going to do $5 billion in revenue, which, again, it's not an indictment of the company. It's an indictment on the market forces that bid it up to those levels.
It had a forward multiple of 190 at the zenith. And now, Karen, what is it, 132?
166, I have the last. But it could change. It could fluctuate wildly. It could be 130.
It's dirt cheap.
But I think the point, again, Alibaba versus Palantir is Karen's point, where the go-go, the Momo stocks that have actually defined both this liquidity run and this sense of risk aggression. I think you've started to see it break down. It's breaking down at least in places where, I mean, Palantir is a real company, has real technology, has real relationships with the government, has an order book that's very impressive in terms of the Fortune 50 companies in this country. But the chase on that, and what I would hear from people, I can't tell you how many people have asked me about Palantir that I didn't even knew there was a stock market. I mean, that's the kind of dynamic I think you've gotten with a bunch of stocks. I think it's healthy to see some of that fever break. And again, I think that's why this week is so important.
Oh, then there's Palantir. This stock is more or less managed by Alex Karp, the CEO. He makes sure there's excitement and pizzazz around what the company does. He'd walk a mile for a camera, this guy. He tells you to ignore the slowdown in Europe or blame it on the pathetic continent. He's on the most high-level book tour in history. I hope he's like Elon Musk and do business while he's on the road. I'm sure if I ask him, he'll say he's working harder in the time between book interviews and that anyone who's worried about him is therefore a big fat idiot. But Palantir stock is getting clobbered because it has had a parabolic move. And right now, this data analytics company needs a huge, noisy client win. Karp needs fellow promoter Elon Musk to hire Palantir to reform the Pentagon. This stock rallied to 125 at its highest last week. It's now at 90 and change. Is this an all the king's horses stock? No, not at all. It's just that something needs to happen good at Palantir, some big contracts, some big win, not just a book tour. Anything that can reset the narrative, because the potty mouth CEO is saying that he's all about lethality and ontology. Hey, I'm the lethality king. I know that many young people are pro-froth. They bid up these momentum stocks in the morning, gunning them to get them noticed. When you see them running at, say, 7:30, 8 a.m., you look them up, and they always sound so great.
Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.